Sometimes love stories end in ways that break our hearts. Today, we're talking about one of rock and roll's most famous couples, and a goodbye that has shaken the music world to its core. Sharon Osbourne, the woman who stood by the Prince of Darkness through decades of chaos, addiction, and triumph, is now facing her biggest challenge yet. She's learning how to say goodbye to the love of her life after watching him fight the hardest battle of his career, not against critics or record labels, but against his own failing health. If you've been following the Osbourne family over the years, you know their story isn't just about fame and fortune. It's about real love, real struggles, and real pain. And right now, Sharon is dealing with a kind of heartbreak that no amount of money or fame can fix. So grab some tissues, because this story is going to take you on an emotional journey that shows us what true devotion really looks like. Let's start from the beginning. Because to understand Sharon's pain today, we need to understand the incredible love story that brought them here. Sharon and Ozzy didn't meet in some fairy tale way. Their story started back in the 1970s when Sharon was just a teenager working for her father's music management company. Her dad managed Black Sabbath, and that's how she first encountered this wild, unpredictable man who would later become the center of her universe. But their romance didn't bloom right away. In fact, it was quite the opposite. Sharon thought Ozzy was completely crazy, and honestly, she wasn't wrong. This was a man who once bit the head off a bat during a concert, who struggled with serious addiction problems, and who seemed to attract chaos wherever he went. But somehow, beneath all that madness, Sharon saw something that nobody else could see. She saw a vulnerable, talented man who just needed someone to believe in him. When they finally got together and got married in 1982, people thought Sharon had lost her mind. Here was a smart, business-savvy woman tying herself to someone who seemed determined to destroy himself. But Sharon didn't just marry Ozzy. She saved him. She became his manager, his protector, and the force that turned his solo career into something legendary. She was the one who cleaned up his messes, who got him into rehab when he needed it, and who never gave up on him even when he gave up on himself. For more than 4 decades, Sharon and Ozzy were like two halves of the same crazy, beautiful whole. They had their kids together, Amy, Kelly, and Jack, and they let the world see their family life through their reality TV show. We watched them fight, laugh, love, and support each other through everything. Sharon dealt with her own health scares, including a battle with cancer that could have ended everything. But through it all, they had each other. But life is a way of testing even the strongest couples, and for Sharon and Ozzy, that test came in the form of a diagnosis that would change everything. In 2020, Ozzy revealed something that his family had been dealing with privately for years. He had Parkinson's disease. This wasn't just any health problem. This was a progressive condition that would slowly but surely take away the things that made Ozzy who he was. Parkinson's disease is cruel in the way it works. It doesn't just attack the body. It attacks the very essence of a person. For someone like Ozzy, whose entire identity was built around being this larger-than-life performer, watching his body betray him must have been devastating. The tremors, the difficulty walking, the problems with balance, all of these symptoms were stealing away the man who once commanded stages around the world. But Ozzy's health problems didn't start with Parkinson's. Looking back, it's clear that his body had been through decades of punishment. There was that terrible ATV accident back in 2003 that nearly killed him and left him with lasting injuries to his spine. There were all those years of drug and alcohol abuse that took a toll on every organ in his body. And there were the normal aches and pains that come with getting older, made worse by a lifetime of throwing himself around on stage like a man possessed. Sharon watched all of this happening to the person she loved most in the world. Imagine what that must have been like for her. This woman had spent her entire adult life protecting Ozzy, managing his career, and making sure he was okay. But this was one enemy she couldn't fight for him. She couldn't fire Parkinson's disease like she could fire a bad manager. She couldn't negotiate with it or throw money at it to make it go away. All she could do was stand by and watch as it slowly took her husband away from her. The really heartbreaking part is how hard they both tried to keep going normally. Even as Ozzy's condition got worse, they kept hoping that maybe he could still perform, still tour, still be the rock star that fans around the world loved. There were times when he seemed to get a little better, when he had good days that gave everyone hope. Sharon would post pictures of them together, and you could see her trying so hard to stay positive, to keep believing that they could beat this thing together. But Parkinson's is a disease that doesn't care about hope or love or determination. It just keeps progressing, taking away a little bit more each day. The man who once ran around stages for hours started needing help to walk. The voice that could sing with such power started to get weaker. And Sharon had to watch it all happen, knowing that there was nothing she could do to stop it. The music world started to realize how serious things were when Ozzy announced that he was canceling tour dates. For a performer who had built his life around connecting with audiences, this wasn't just about missing some concerts. It was about accepting that his body could no longer do what his heart wanted to do. Sharon stood beside him through every difficult announcement, every disappointing cancellation, every moment when they had to face the reality that their old life was slipping away. But even as Ozzy's physical condition declined, their love for each other never wavered. If anything, going through this hell battle seemed to make their bond even stronger. Sharon became not just his wife and manager, but his caregiver. She was there for the doctor's appointments, the physical therapy sessions, the good days and the really bad days. She reorganized their entire life around making sure Ozzy was comfortable and as happy as possible. Friends and family members have talked about how amazing Sharon was during this time. She never complained, never showed resentment about how their golden years were supposed to go differently. Instead, she focused on making every day count, on finding joy in the small moments they could still share together. Whether it was watching movies at home, spending time with their kids and grandchildren, or just sitting together in comfortable silence, Sharon made sure that love remained at the center of everything. The end came sooner than anyone expected, even though everyone knew it was coming. On July 22nd, 2025, after years of fighting his health battles with incredible courage, Ozzy Osbourne passed away at the age of 76. He was at home, surrounded by his family, with Sharon by his side holding his hand just like she had been holding his hand through everything else for all those years. The statement that the family released was simple but powerful. They said that Ozzy had been with his family and surrounded by love when he died. For Sharon, who had spent so many years worrying about Ozzy, who had pulled him out of so many dangerous situations and nursed him through so many crises, there must have been some comfort in knowing that his final moment was peaceful. But comfort and peace don't make the grief any easier to bear. For almost 2 months after Ozzy's death, Sharon stayed out of the public eye. The woman who had always been so strong, so ready to face the media and handle whatever crisis came their way, suddenly went completely quiet. She wasn't doing interviews, wasn't posting on social media, wasn't making any public appearances. She was just grieving, privately and deeply, for the man who had been the center of her world for over 40 years. People understood why she needed that time. Losing someone you love is always devastating, but losing someone who has been such a huge part of your identity, your daily life, your very sense of who you are, that's a special kind of heartbreak. Sharon wasn't just mourning a husband. She was mourning a partner, a best friend, the father of her children, and the person who had shared every important moment of her adult life with her. When Sharon finally did break her silence last week, it was with a message that showed both her grief and her gratitude. She posted on social media, thanking fans all the love and support they had shown her family. She talked about how the messages, posts, and tributes from people around the world had brought her more comfort than anyone could know. But you could also hear the pain in her words, the difficulty she was having in finding the right way to express what she was going through. In her message, Sharon said she was still having trouble finding the words to express how grateful she was for everyone's support. She thanked people for their comments and posts and tributes, saying they had brought her more comfort than they could possibly know. But between the lines, you could read the deeper truth, that she was struggling, that she was trying to figure out how to move forward without the person who had been her everything. What makes Sharon's situation even more heartbreaking is that this isn't just about losing a spouse. She's also lost her life's work in a way. For decades, managing Ozzy's career was her career. Protecting him, promoting him, making sure his music reached the people who loved it. That was what Sharon did. Now she's facing not just the personal loss of her husband, but also the professional reality that the work that defined her for so long is over. But even in her grief, Sharon is showing the same strength to help her and Ozzy get through all their previous challenges. She's taking time to heal, but she's also staying connected with the people who care about their family. She's acknowledging the love that fans have shown, and she's finding ways to honor Ozzy's memory while also taking care of herself. The response from fans and fellow musicians has been incredible. People from all over the world have shared their own memories of Ozzy's music and what it meant to them. They've talked about seeing him perform, about how his songs helped them through difficult times, about what it was like to witness the love between him and Sharon. In a way, all of these tributes are also tributes to Sharon, because everyone knows that Oz's success was built on the foundation of their partnership. Other musicians have been especially supportive, understanding what Sharon is going through in a way that only people in the music industry can. They know how rare it is to find someone who will stand by you through the chaos and craziness of a music career. They know how special the love between Sharon and Ozzy was, and they are making sure Sharon knows that she's not alone in her grief. But perhaps the most touching responses have come from the couple's own children. Kelly and Jack Osbourne have been sharing their own memories of their father, but they've also been honoring their mother and everything she did to keep their family together through the years. They talk about watching Sharon care for their father during his illness, about the love and dedication she showed even when things got really difficult. It's clear that Sharon's children understand what an incredible woman their mother is. They've seen her strength firsthand, watched her fight for their father and for their family over and over again. Now they're making sure she knows that they are there to support her the same way she supported all of them. Looking at Sharon's story, it's impossible not to be moved by the depth of love and commitment she showed. In a world where celebrity marriages often seem shallow or temporary, Sharon and Ozzy proved that real love can survive anything. They survived addiction, health scares, career ups and downs, family drama, and finally, the slow progression of a disease that took away everything except their love for each other. Sharon's decision to step back from public life after Ozzy's death shows that she understands the importance of taking time to grieve properly. In our social media age, there's often pressure to bounce back quickly, to show that you're okay, to keep producing content and maintaining your public image. But Sharon is choosing to honor her grief, to give herself the time and space she needs to process this enormous loss. That doesn't mean she's disappearing forever. The message she shared with fans shows that she's grateful for their support and that she's finding ways to stay connected while she heals. But she's doing it on her own terms, in her own time, which takes incredible strength and wisdom. As Sharon moves forward into this new chapter of her life, she's carrying with her 4 decades of memories, 3 children who adore her, and the knowledge that she gave everything she had to the great love of her life. She was there for Ozzy through his wildest days and his most vulnerable moments. She helped him become not just a rock legend, but also a devoted father and grandfather. The legacy that Sharon and Ozzy built together isn't just about music, though the music will live forever. It's also about showing the world what it looks like when 2 people truly commit to each other, when they decide that no matter what life throws at them, they're going to face it together. They prove that love can be messy and complicated and still be real and lasting. Sharon's journey from here won't be easy. Grief is a process that doesn't follow any timeline, and losing someone after such a long, deep relationship creates a special kind of emptiness. But if anyone has the strength to rebuild and find new purpose, it's Sharon Osbourne. She's already proven that she can handle anything life gives her, and she's surrounded by people who love her and want to see her happy again. For all of us watching Sharon's story unfold, there are lessons about love, commitment, and the importance of staying by the people we care about when they need us most. Sharon could have walked away from Ozzy at any point during their relationship, when he was struggling with addiction, when his behavior was unpredictable, when his health started to fail. There were probably moments when leaving would have been easier. But she didn't leave. She stayed, and she fought for their love every single day. That's what makes a goodbye so powerful and so heartbreaking. This isn't just a celebrity mourning the loss of a famous husband. This is a woman who gave her whole heart to someone and now has to figure out how to live with that heart broken but still beating. As Sharon continues to heal and find her way forward, she has the love and support of millions of people around the world who were touched by her story and Ozzy's music. She has her children and grandchildren who will carry on the family legacy. And she has the memories of a love that was real and deep and transformative. Sharon Osbourne's goodbye to Ozzy isn't just an ending. It's also a celebration of what they built together, what they meant to each other, and what their love story meant to everyone who witnessed it. In a world that often seems cynical about lasting love, Sharon and Ozzy prove that it's still possible to find someone worth fighting for, someone worth staying with through everything, someone worth loving until the very end. So as we watch Sharon navigate this difficult time, let's remember that behind all the fame and drama in reality TV shows, this is ultimately a story about 2 people who found each other and held on tight for 4 incredible decades. That's the kind of love story that gives the rest of us hope, even when it ends in heartbreak. If this story touched your heart like it touched mine, please take a moment to show some love by hitting that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear about what real commitment looks like, or someone who might be going through their own difficult goodbye. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because we're here to tell the real stories behind the headlines, the human stories that remind us what really matters in life. Thank you for watching, and remember that even in our darkest moments, love leaves a light that never goes out.